Hey guys, what's up? It's Emily here, and I'm welcoming you to the 5th edition of Roll Call. Today we'll have a discussion themed based around the everlasting topics in the Call of Duty community as growing as an esport, as well as some of the smaller supporting leagues that are organizations supporting the scene, as well as a debate later on regarding PCL online and actual events. That will involve Revan co-hosting with myself, as well as Nadeshot and Moho. Sorry about last week. We had a couple technical difficulties. We had Hex on there, Hastro on there, as well as Sam hosting due to me being gone, and you guys couldn't really understand what was going on at all, so I apologize about that. We do have some news coming to you later on, but today we have John Clark coming from the Cyber Sports Network and Ego with 360 Icons. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to bring back a great debate for you guys. Welcome back, and I'm going to start by introducing Paul, or as you guys know, Ego, as well as John Clark from Cyber Sports Network. I'd like to thank you guys for coming on today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into some questions real quick. John, I'm going to start with you. And can you just kind of give us a short introduction as to who you are and kind of what you and your organization do in this community?
Yeah, I'm the Director of Operations for the Cyber Sports Network, and we're basically a full-service online and as well as live competitions for console and PC gamers.
Okay. And what have you guys kind of participated in so far tournament-wise that some of the newer viewers would recognize you by?
Well, for this community at least, what we've done is, when I came on board, we definitely wanted to do at least one console game that we wanted to get into, and at that time, Black Ops was definitely going to be the big thing. So we started a series along with some of our other games. We started a series called Play Games, and we did Play Black Ops, which was 4 weekly points cups teams could accumulate points based on their participation in the cups, and then reach a finals cup. That was the Black Ops, and that basically ended about the same time that Modern Warfare 3 came out, and so we basically shifted gears to Modern Warfare 3, and we've done several tournaments since then. We've teamed up with Team Fear, or Envious, and Team Obey. We've also teamed up with the Deserto community in Europe, and we've done a pretty large-scale North American/European Modern Warfare 3 tournament, and all of these have been on the console.
Okay. And now, obviously, both you and Ego are competing with, of course, everybody knows, game battles. Now, do you offer a ladder system?
Not yet. It is something that we would do, but my personal opinion on the ladder system is it's basically a scrimmage system. For the most part, it's a big waste of time.
Okay. And Ego, I'm just going to kind of jump to you here. Everybody, this is Ego. You guys have all played, I'm sure, in his tournaments every weekend. Can you kind of give an introduction about yourself, kind of what you guys have been up to since MW3 has started?
We really haven't done anything new since MW3. I think we're really focused on trying to make things better just for an everyday player. We really kind of locked up the competitive community. Obviously, we have 500 teams. A lot of those teams are competitive. We're really just trying to figure out what we can do for people other than the people who play directly at MLG. And like you said, ladder system, that's something we actually are working on just because we think it's something more for an everyday player. Maybe not like Game Battles does ladders, but in more of a competitive way, but in more of a variation where you see people who want to, play something different than what Game Battles forces you to play, whether it's sniping or different kinds of setups.
Okay, and now what made you start 360 Icons? Was it, you wanted to start something different than Game Battles, or was it just kind of your own notion?
I actually wanted to start it because as a player, I was playing in Game Battles tournaments and I was winning, but I wasn't making any money. So I really wanted to start something that I really wanted to dedicate towards giving a players the opportunity to actually, have something worth their time. It was just really frustrating playing, 10, 15-hour days and being able to take home $20. It really wasn't worth it. You're better off working at McDonald's.
Okay. And now, what made you choose the format of just the Saturday, Sunday tournaments that you're running at the moment?
Really, it was just our goal was just to get as many people as possible, just to show the kind of numbers we could put up and show what kind of support we had. So obviously, with kids in school, the weekend was the best day to do it, and we just wanted to show how many roundabout numbers. You're talking about 500 teams with four persons, people on each team. Sorry. We wanted to show people that we could get how much of a demand this really was. We're not a huge site, but those are still huge numbers.
Right.
So that was really the goal, to figure if we started out like that and showed them what demand it was, if it was free, that we could end up working from there and building up bigger prizes for the players, so to put that time into.
Okay, now back to you, John. How do your tournaments that you have been running work? Is it pay to play? Is it credit system? How is that?
No, they're completely free, and a lot like what Ego said. It was the idea really was to give an option to game battles instead of being enslaved by the MLG game battle system. Players would have an opportunity to try something else and enter a free tournament to win prizing, whether it be cash or hardware. Our Play Black Ops actually gave away cash, and then the finals, I believe, was $500. For the top 8 teams.
Mm-hmm.
It may have been 16, but the idea really was just to give an option so that it wasn't just always about game battles and MLG. And there's nothing wrong with what MLG is doing. I mean, they're running a business, but when it's the only option, it doesn't mean that things will get better, and it certainly doesn't mean that they have to give incentive for players to even play, because that's the only place they had to play.
Right. Now, I do know that you're holding how long is your Razor March Mayhem? I know I've tweeted out a couple times, but
it's going to be a 2-day tournament, just because we do expect the numbers to be somewhat large. I don't know about running a 512 team tournament in 2 days. That would be crazy, but no, we do expect some large numbers. But normally our tournaments are 1 or 2 day events, unless we do like group play or league or something like that.
Okay. And now, what are your prizes for that?
For the Razor event, you would have to ask me that. I don't know the exact. I do know that it's four headsets and 4 keyboards, I believe, for first place, and then 4 mice or keyboards for second.
Okay, well, that's pretty interesting. Now, can you talk a little bit about your Play Warfare series and your format that you're planning on doing with that?
Yeah, the Play Warfare series is basically just 4 single elimination brackets. I think we'll cap the teams at maybe 64 or 128 teams. For every round that you play in, you earn points. For every round that you win, you're going to earn more points, obviously. And it's really just an opportunity to try to build from the base up and to get as many teams involved in competitive play as possible, outside of just ladders, and giving them an opportunity to really, what they'll do is they'll earn points over the 4 points cups. And from there, we'll take maybe the top 16, possibly the top 32 teams will then compete for a much larger prizing. So each week there will be a little bit of prizing, and then the finals will have, a little bit more prizing to it. Okay.
Now, Ego, going to you again. Now, you're kind of known at the moment for being the biggest online tournament site there is that's free, that does it on a consistent basis. Now, what are your thoughts about partnering with sponsors and other organizations to potentially throw a LAN or some sort of event of your own?
I mean, we've talked about it. It really would have to make sense. It's definitely something I want to do just for the community, especially if MLG doesn't pick up the game. Like, I would really be shocked if we don't do LAN. I know actually, I don't even know if this is how public this is, but next weekend we're actually doing a LAN at Hastro's house. That's gonna. I don't really know if I'm ruining a surprise at all or anything, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. I know that Optic's gonna be there, and I know that Envy's gonna be there, and I know that Jaws and some other guys are gonna be there. So that should be a lot of fun. And I've worked on a couple LANs just to get the experience of running them, but it's just something that needs a lot of planning, a lot of organization, a lot of the right things to come together to happen. But I could see it happening. I don't know how soon, but I'm pretty sure it'll happen.
No, this is a question for the both of you. I'll start with you, though, Ego. How do you feel that MLG, I guess, has kind of restricted the community in regards to tournaments or what they feel should be banned or not banned in rule-wise? Because, I mean, pretty much everyone always talks, well, it's banned on GB. So, or how does that implement you or help you with your tournaments or hinder you from what you think it should be?
Well, we always try and do the same thing as MLG just because of such a large part of our team base is our MLG teams. But at the same time, as we've grown, it's been a lot easier. Actually, let me say the main thing we've actually want to focus on before doing this, what MLG wants is what the community wants. So, for example, with the Type 95, we had that big vote on it. That was the type of thing where if MLG didn't ban it, we were going to ban it anyway. But we really feel like we're at the point that if a large part of our community wants it, we feel like we can take it to MLG and show them what we have, what the background we have on, just like the Type 95, for example. If it didn't get banned, and we showed them that thread where there was 8,000 people that voted for it to be banned and 2,000 people for it not to be. If they didn't ban it, that's a huge problem for me. But I really think that MLG has came to the point where they're listening to the community as well, and they've really been looking for a site like ours to kind of dictate Call of Duty for them, because I still think they're a little lost with Call of Duty.
Now, what about you, John?
Well, to comment on what Ego said about them being lost, I'm not sure they're lost. I think they just, but I agree a lot with what you said. I just think maybe what they're doing is, for them, it's just a cash cow. Very much like the developers of Call of Duty itself. The game is a cash cow. There's not a lot of reason or a lot of incentive to listen to the community. They can set the rules because, as I said earlier, for the longest time, the console community has been enslaved by their decisions. When there's no other option, there hasn't been any other choices, where else are you going to go? I mean, it's going to be MLG or nowhere.
Right.
So with sites like sites like ours and Icons, and there's a few others popping up, OGL, what they're doing is they're offering options to the community, which will then feed into the community kind of stepping up and doing some things on their own, because they have more options and they have more places to go. They have a greater voice. They can go to Icons, or they can come to us and say, hey, we'd really like to try this, or we really feel like maybe this would be a good option, or we've never ever had any sort of group play event. Boy, would that be neat. Everyone else is doing it in esports. Why can't we? Things like that. It would, and I think that's what Ego and myself are doing, is giving the community an option, a competitive option, which I hope that at least that MLG kind of listens to it and says, okay, we kind of got to take these guys serious, because I mean, we are huge, and CSN and Icons are not going to just overnight take away a lot of their numbers, but there's 512 people playing on teams playing on Icons, and we've had over 128 or so of our own. So there's a lot of teams out there that are looking at other avenues, which of course then slows down the amount of time that they spend on the MLG website or the Game Battles website, the amount of time that they spend putting money into the events that give out 40% payback, things like that. So we hope that we give those options to the community, and the community responds.
Now, how do you feel in regards to actual player events in LAN? Do you think there should be more? I mean, if MLG, say, for instance, doesn't pick NW3 to go to events this year, how do you feel that should be handled in regards to a LAN sense?
Oh, there absolutely should be more LAN events. But that really, what other organizations out there besides MLG are really going to step forward and run some more console
could afford
events? Yeah, I've ran many console events. When I was at GGL, we ran them right alongside MLG, competing at the same time, and they can be a pain. And in a lot of ways, they're a lot easier than PC, a lot less setup for sure. But it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money, and MLG can definitely do it. But just like small events, I know in March. At the Ignite LAN Center in Chicago, they're going to run an event there. Now it's not console, but the idea is that a lot of people in the community are stepping up and say, "Oh, I can do this." I mean, if StarCraft can run barcrafts basically, and get in contact with bars and have them set up where they're streaming StarCraft in a bar, there's no reason why people in the community like myself or Ego can't contact a local bar. And I've done that. I did it for Halo. Just here in Omaha, I just go to a bar and say I'd love to run it, and I had players from all over. They drove 5-6 hours just to compete in a one-day event because they're starving for something other than MLG. It's not that MLG's the big bad wolf here. That's not the case. It's just that people want options. I mean, the community sees what's going on everywhere else. I mean, outside of this show and what Golden Boy does, there hasn't been, and what the YouTuber guys do, there really hasn't been a lot of streaming stuff going on. They haven't had the same hype that a lot of the other esports has had. And what's sad about that is that console's been around for a while, and MLG supported Halo and such for quite some time, but they've been hamstringed by game battles and by just the MLG not really having the incentive to improve anything. And so for so long, the console community and specifically Call of Duty has been behind. I mean, it hasn't even touched its potential, and that's great for us, and it's great for the community. But people are going to have to step up and make it happen.
Now, I know that, I'm not quite sure because I didn't really follow back in Black Ops, but I know that when Ego or Icons were in tournaments in Black Ops, he had one day for Xbox, one day for PS3. Now, when Sundance announced that it is going to be Xbox only this year, how do you think that affected you? Do you think you have a bigger following with Xbox or, bigger growth through that, or would PlayStation be the route to go for you?
Is that for me or John?
Oh, that's for John to start off with. Sorry about that.
We're going to stick with Xbox. It just, in my personal opinion, my PS3 sits downstairs and is a paperweight. I mean, I love it, but I just think that there's so much more opportunity on Xbox. And for us, it's about simplicity and just being efficient. And switching every day, or every other weekend, it could cause some issues. I mean, I'd love to be able to support that, but, we have a staff that basically provides a lot of their own time for free to run these events. So it has to be a matter of efficiency, really, for us.
Now, Ego, you both run tournaments as well as compete. Do you think that Xbox is a better route, or?
When we ran PS3 tournaments, the only reason we ran them was because MLG ran them, and that's just what a lot of the competitive teams and players were playing on. And even then, I hated doing it. So the fact that we're on Xbox is such a relief to me, because even when Black Ops was on PS3 and when all those MLG teams were on PS3, we still only got like 64 teams of 4v4 for a PS3 tournament compared to on Xbox without those pro teams. We're still getting 128 to 256. We're really 256 90% of the time. So it was almost 4 times bigger on Xbox with the pros being on PS3. So I'm glad to be on Xbox.
Now, taking away in effect the debate that we're going to be going to later with Moho and Nate Shot, how do you feel about online versus events or LAN system?
I mean, events are just so much fun. You can't really complain if we're online just because, hey, at least we still have something. but there's just so many loopholes in line. You have connection plays a huge role in Call of Duty. You have people who can host boot. There's just so much stupid stuff that can happen, and a live environment is so much more fun. I really would like to see the game go live and just be played on Xbox and Infinity Ward come through with everything. But I mean, if Infinity Ward doesn't want to help us out with LAN and there's no other choice, I guess I'd still rather see the game be played online than not played at all.
True. No, I definitely agree. Now, going back to you, John, do you have anything that's coming up besides Razor March Mayhem that you would like to discuss, or anything big going on there?
Well, the Play Warfare series, we hope to launch here sometime in February, or at least make some announcements about it. I know that what we're pushing for, and going on what Ego said, I'd love to see more online, more live events as well. But I really think that, especially for the Call of Duty community, I know that there's so much BS, that goes on. I mean, you have to remember a lot of the people playing Call of Duty are a little bit younger. Well, everyone's younger than I am.
Younger.
But online is really where it starts. I mean, that's where you're going to pull in most of your numbers. I mean, a lot of these people are not going to be able to go to live events, but if we're able to do a lot more, give the players a lot more options and really show them what the competitive life is. I have a 14-year-old son who loves playing Call of Duty, and he's actually really good at it. He kicks my ass for sure, but he never played. He plays with his buddies all the time. And he never played anything competitive. And the very first event that I got them hooked into, they actually won their first match, and they were like pumped. They thought it was the greatest thing in the world, to compete online. And that's how it started for me, competing online. It was just, are you kidding me? I'm seriously playing somebody across the globe, and we're battling it out, and there's going to be a winner and loser, and that was really what it was all about. So it was about competition. And so I think that really there has to be a really good structure online. That's why I really promote teams getting away from game battles. Don't give up on MLG, don't give up on game battles. They're there for a reason, and we need them, but there really needs to be other options, and I really hope that the community kind of comes around, really creates a good structure online where there's leagues, and that's where we want to eventually head is we'll have a full league module eventually. We'll have group play where we'll be able to do World Cup style events in which there'll be small groups leading into a bracket, things like that. So you want to give these gamers other options other than just simply playing mindless ladder games all day.
Now, for league play, are you referring to something about like what Rambo was talking about, like the monthly, like a seasonal, or however you'd like to?
Yeah, well, it'd be a structured event. So you'd have season 1 or whatever, and you'd have, the way that I would normally do it, you'd have 10 teams like in a Premier Division, and then you'd have a select, but this is how it would go actually for us. It'd be Premier Division, a select division, main, and open. And open would be open to anyone. But instead of having 30,000 people on a ladder or 30,000 people in an open division, we'd actually tier those divisions. We'd have different groups. So you'd really foster a competitive nature where the teams that you're playing against are at or a little above or a little below your skill level, and where you have something to shoot for, whether it's prizing or promotion to the next division up, or relegation in that case, where you're going to move down, and you really create a competitive spirit for the gamers. And I think one of the things that does is it keeps teams together longer.
Right.
One thing you have here is you have these weekly tournaments that both Ego and I are running, and the one thing about it is it's very easy to say, well, shit, we didn't play really well. That sucked, boy, that guy on our team really sucked, So they pick up a new guy, the whole team changes, they come up with a new logo and make a new team name, and that doesn't help really with anything. I mean, there's a good reason there's only 15, 16, what they call pro teams.
Right.
Scoots would tell you differently, but because they're the only teams that go to the events. They're the only teams that really compete, and they're the ones that stick together. And so in order to get a team to stick together, you have to create that structure for them, and that's really what we hope to do.
Okay, now Ego, on to you. How do you feel about Rambo's idea of the league that he initially brought up, and having your month-long, I guess people said every match streamed?
I mean, it really just depends how many teams. I like the idea of the league. Talking about what matches you're going to stream and stuff is totally... I wouldn't even think about something like that until I was actually doing the league. But, I mean, It would work. It's good. I agree with what John says about you have to be able to establish teams. Like what we have right now doesn't work with teams breaking up every day and having different rosters. If you can't build players to the point where people know their names, then there's not even a point in doing this because you have nobody to cheer for, and that's probably the most important thing I think from a spectator's point of view is you want a team to root for, a player to root for, and it's hard to do that when teams change so much.
Right. Now, I mean, we're going out to some viewer questions here, so I'm not trying to go all over the place. But a viewer said, can you see any pro mod settings style tourneys on either site? I'll start with you, Ego.
Well, that's something that's been talked about a lot, and I love the idea of implementing a sniper because I know that's why a lot of people want pro mod is so there's at least one sniper on the team, and I like it. It's just kind of difficult to enforce because there just could be a lot of disputes. Oh, this team didn't have a sniper, or this team had 4 rifles, and it just makes kind of taking care of all the matches in a tournament. It could be a little bit more of a pain. But I mean, that's we did a sniper tournament this weekend. I know a lot of people like that. It's really why people want pro mod, and I would love to see it too. But I really think there needs to be an easier way, whether it's maybe using a settings that we save in a vault and have people use settings that you only can have certain classes. That could work. But there's always ways for people to get past the system, and I think that's one of the most important things about. That's where game battles went wrong. Is there's just so many flaws in the system, and people can, you have to think about how people could take advantage of these rules, and that's the biggest problem with pro mod is that there's people out there with it. It sucks, but there are people out there that are just going to break rules and try and cheat, and there's got to be ways to prevent that.
Right. Now, how do you feel about that, John?
Just like he said, one of the biggest problems is the logistics of it. Just the being able to enforce a lot of those things and then handling disputes. I mean, the last thing, especially in a 128 team bracket, is you definitely don't want to be handling more than your fair share of disputes. I mean, it's really frustrating. And if that, of course, yeah, absolutely, and that gets away from being able to run a smooth event, and that really goes into a whole nother subject for another day, and that is the help from the developers. I mean, eventually they'll get the idea that unless they at least do some catering to the esports community, they're going to continue to lose a fan base, and and so being able to just quickly push a few settings, change a few settings, and boom, your server is completely set up exactly how you want it, and you don't have to worry about people trying to circumvent the rules. That would be great, but until then, logistics, it is very, very difficult to run. But if the community called for it, I mean, we would definitely try our best. I mean, we had to deal with some of that stuff in Black Ops.
Right.
We literally had to just hope that the other team, was on their honor and was following the rules. It's kind of ridiculous that you have to go through that the developer doesn't help, kind of help out with that. But they just don't see it yet. For them, it's seriously a cash cow. I mean, if you can come out with a new Call of Duty every 6 months and sell, X million copies.
It's not going to matter to them.
Yeah, why would it?
Okay, now another chat question. I'll stay with you for a moment. What game modes do you think will be kind of coming up in tourneys, or if MLG ends up picking up for the circuit? Are you a fan of the S&D CTF only, or how do you view that?
Yeah, well, I have to be completely honest here. Being that I'm the director of director at CSN, I actually don't get to play games very often.
Oh, no.
And when I do, this, of course, is going to start a flame war. I mainly play PC. I mean, I have every system downstairs. I got them all when I was at GGL, and I did have to do a lot of console gaming. But I absolutely am horrible with the controller. Absolutely horrible. It actually does take more skill than I thought to use that controller. So I don't have a lot of time to play. Personally, though, when I did play and I watched my son play, he really enjoyed, domination. I think mostly because it was just easy to get into and play. And I played with him a few times in deathmatch and just being able to jump in the server and shoot. But the guys that I have, that work with me, Evan or Ewok as he goes by in G2 Wolf, those guys are the guys that look into all of these things. I mean, they talk with people from game battles. They see what Icons is doing, and they're going to best know kind of what's coming up. I know for me, I'm a huge fan of CTF. I think it takes the most team skill of of any game type, no matter what FPS game it is. I like S&D though, but it's just for me, it's just been overdone. I grew up with Counter-Strike, and for me, Search and Destroy has pretty much been overdone. I really enjoy CTF, but I think that the way the direction will go for MLG, and of course we never really know until they announce it, but I think it will be S&D and CTF. Those are the two that I'd like to see the most.
Okay. What about you, Ego?
I agree. I think it's definitely going to be S&D and CTF. I just think people aren't a fan of Dom in this game. But I think for S&D to be successful and not kill Call of Duty, because if it needs to go down to a 1.5-minute timeline for a round, because right now I can fall asleep watching S&D at a 2.5-minute round length. Yeah, it's way too long. So that's something, again, Infinity Ward has to step up on that, because I understand why COD gets no viewers if you're watching 2.5-minute rounds of S&D where people are just sitting there waiting for 2.5 minutes straight.
Now, this is going to be the last chat question. I'm going to kind of combine it to both of you. Now, everyone knows that your tourneys, which are run every Saturday and Sunday, again, are for $160 for their top prize. Do you plan on changing your prize amounts at all? Or if you did run some different tourneys, would you up the prize or?
Yeah, we're gonna definitely change stuff up. I don't know how soon our weekly stuff will change, but we definitely have some bigger events planned that we're gonna be talking about really soon. Can't really talk about them yet, but there's definitely gonna be, even if MLG doesn't pick up Call of Duty, there's definitely gonna be a lot of money to be made in Call of Duty this year.
Yay! What about you, John? The question was originally asked for you. It says, will CSN be offering any big prize tourneys such as a $1,000 prize spot?
Yeah. I would absolutely love to be able to, put that in the game's budget, but we're a startup company and we run a lot more than just Call of Duty, so it's going to come down to a budget thing. I can say that we do have some sponsors that are very serious about putting their resources into what we do, including and actually mainly Modern Warfare 3 right now. So, and we do have people that come to us and say, hey, we'd want to use your system, we'd love to use your site, and they actually have their own sponsors and their own pricing. So, do expect plenty of Call of Duty and console action coming from CSN. I can't promise $1,000. I'd love to be able to do that, but I just can't.
All right. Well, we're going to close out with viewer questions. Thank you both for coming on. Do you have anything else that you would like to add, John?
I don't think so. I just want to thank you guys. I really appreciate the opportunity, because I think it's important for the community to know that there are other options out there, whether it's 200 people tuning in or 2,000 people tuning in. I hope that the 200 that are tuning in, will spread the word that there is Icon, that there's CSN, that there's other options instead of the mindless game battle ladders. So.
And make sure that everybody checks out Razor Madness. We did link the event in the chat, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again for coming on. Now, Ego, going to you. Do you have any information that you would like to share about? Even if are you doing a sniper tourney again this Sunday, or?
We don't know what we're gonna do on Sunday yet, but we'll have our Saturday tournament up there either tonight or tomorrow morning.
That's exciting. And anything else that you would like to add?
Nope, that's all.
All right. Well, thank you guys both for coming on. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to have Moho and Nadeshot as well as Revan here to discuss the differences of PCL with LAN. So tune in. Okay, I'm going to assume that we're live now. So welcome back, guys. We have Nadeshot, Moho, and my co-host Revan here, and we are going to start a debate tonight about the pros and cons, I guess, of LAN versus online for MW3. So I'm going to hand it over to Revan. He's going to start off with some questions, and I will be taking some chat questions as well.
All right, so what's up, guys? First off, my first question for you guys is, what do you prefer, online or LAN? I guess we'll start out with Moho because I'll say he's the COD veteran here.
Well, obviously, LAN is more, it's fun, so you get more experience out of it, and it's different because you're not sitting at home in your own chair, and you don't have any pressure on you. So LAN is probably better, but it could go both ways. I mean, if we don't have the opportunity to go LAN, online is fine for me, only if we can have dedicated servers.
They chat.
I mean, I agree with some of the things you're saying. There really wasn't much in-depth analysis of LAN versus online, but I really don't think online PCLs again are an option unless it leads to a LAN event for every single event. I think if we have online events like we did in COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2, that it's just taking a step backwards for our community. It's not really what we're looking for. It's not ideal. And I mean, worst case scenario, I'll still be competing if it's online, but there's just so many different things that can happen with live events. We're going to get cross-promotion from StarCraft 2. We're going to get cross-promotion from the other games at the live events. There's going to be more opportunity for players to actually make a career out of this game. There's going to be we're going to grow more as a game. I mean, you're not going to get any coverage for our community if it's just online events. They might cover a story or a match, but it's just a step in the wrong direction for what we're trying to accomplish as a group and as a community.
All right, well, I guess I could kind of see both sides here. LAN is good because we all want to see our friends every few months or so. But online kind of suits some of the other players who really can't afford to go to events, maybe they're not fortunate enough to get some sponsors. So there are two sides to the story. Personally, hopefully there's LAN, but that's all up to Infinity War at this point. We've been hoping for LAN for quite some time, ever since Modern Warfare 2, and hopefully it comes. But let's go into online PCLs. I know you guys mentioned that before. We all played that in Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2. Did you guys ever run into any problems, maybe with some host booters, maybe some connection issues that you feel that would really hinder the community growth if it was back on online?
Yeah,
Actually,
go ahead, Nate. You go ahead and take that one.
Well, in PCL 1, in the beginning of Modern Warfare 2, I was teaming with Exile, Punisher, and JCap. And for anyone that doesn't know, Exile came back from Call of Duty 4, and he's widely known as an online player. I don't think he'll really go to events if he has the opportunity. But we had a very solid team, and that is when we were kind of transitioning between Xbox to PlayStation 3. So we were all kind of trying to play on the different consoles, and we were trying to get used to the players that we had playing against because we don't know any PlayStation players. And we got to the semifinals, actually, at PCL 1, and we were lagged out 2 consecutive days in a row. One was a weekend tournament, and the other one was playoffs for PSL 1 or PCL 1. And Exile actually quit after that. We broke up as a team, and that kind of ruined Modern Warfare 2 for me just because, PCL 1 was me trying to prove myself as a player, and we completely got host booted, and it just ruined the whole online experience right there and then for me.
One of the things about online, though, is you have to understand is if they do an online circuit, you're gonna have ladder play, and then you're gonna have playoff play. And one of the things we didn't have back then is MLG staff. We didn't actually have them to come in and actually spectate our matches and actually make sure everything goes good. During the ladder play, you're probably gonna get host booted. That happens. There's kids that do that. They're immature, and but my point is that one, MLG staff will be there for playoffs, and they'll make sure none of that happens. And if it does happen,
I'm not sure if you recall, but back in Modern Warfare 2 and even Call of Duty 4, major tournaments where money was on the line, they had MLG staff inside games, inside the lobby.
Yeah, but they didn't have ways to prevent it though. They didn't come in there.
They still don't have ways to prevent lagging out.
Well, if you're playing S&D,
there's no way to stop somebody from flooding out, and you're kind of just looking at it from the showcase matches that they've started up for Modern Warfare 3, just because it's a showcase match and nothing's on the line, they're going to end the game and replay it from the start. That's not going to happen with serious competition. That's not going to go over well with the players. MLG staff's not going to know what to do. They're not going to have staff members waiting on hand for every single match in the playoffs and in ladder play. And I kind of think your twisted sense of what MLG is really going to do for us and what they can do physically as a mediator from teams getting lagged out in tournament play.
But I don't think sitting there saying MLG is going to take a step backwards is the right thing to say. That's not encouragement. That's not what we need to see.
I'm not saying MLG is taking a step backwards. I'm saying the Call of Duty community is taking a step backwards. You want us to revert back to what we were doing 2 years ago? And you expect us to grow?
If you listen to what I said in the beginning, I said I would prefer LAN. But I don't. Right now, it's not looking good for that. We can all admit that. We can hope and wish.
We don't know anything about what's going on. There might be
Let me ask you this. When is the last time an Infinity Ward has ever put a Call of Duty circuit or helped MLG get Call of Duty on a circuit? When's the last time they've ever done that?
They haven't done it, and
I have another question.
When was the last time? I got one more question.
Right. But I'm not saying. Listen, they're not.
When is the last time a host booting team ever won a PCL? When is the last time a host booting team has ever won or placed second or third?
Point because it has nothing to do with the real winners being there. It has nothing to do with a host booting team winning. I just had my account taken and I was IP flooded for 2 days in a row. It has nothing to do with a host booting team winning PCL. It has to do with a player like Optic Scumpy going in, dropping 30 kills first map, and then getting completely kicked off for no apparent reason for the 2 more maps after that, and Optic Gaming loses the series in the playoff match. It has nothing to do with having a host booter on your team and winning. It's people want to troll, people want to cause mayhem, they want to cause problems because they enjoy it. They don't care who it is, they're just going to do it. It has nothing to do with, say, you get 4 people and one person on that team is just going to host boot every single player he comes across. It really has nothing to do with that.
If I could just say one thing and ask you guys, when was the last time Infinity Ward actually made a patch that worked, let alone a patch for the competitive community? Has that ever happened?
No, it hasn't.
It really hasn't, portrayed much help for the Call of Duty community. But if you guys saw online for the Call of Duty website, on the bottom left of the patches list that they have, they talked about for future patches, they had LAN fixes was listed, all right? And I know we haven't gotten much response from 402, but there's so many different variables that go into that. That's confidentiality between MLG and Infinity Ward. Sundance isn't going to announce something if it contradicts what Infinity Ward wants them to do. They're not going to leak information. He can't just tell us, hey, yeah, you're going to have LAN, because then that leaks info from Infinity Ward. There's so many different things, and there's so much speculation going into it. I'm hoping for the best. I mean, that's all you can really do.
And I think that's good. Hoping for the best is good, but I think we also got to hope for the best and not hope for the worst if there is an online circuit. I think you're trying to promote negativity towards it, man. Don't do that. If it's going to be an online circuit, let's promote positivity. Let's get these teams. No matter what, we're going to have at least 500 teams that join up into this.
I'm saying it's a step backwards from what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay, but that's not our fault.
Trying to make this game and make this lifestyle an actual career. And that's not going to happen with online events. That's literally it's taking 2 years of 2 years of accomplishments, 2 years of progression, and just throwing that all away from everything that any player has ever worked for. We're not going to have spotlight players. We're not going to have events where...
Why won't we?
You honestly think MLG is going to promote us that much online when they have StarCraft?
Look what they've been doing with the weekly warfare. I think that's a great... that's a great start, don't you think? The weekly warfare is 1 day a week. If they can do that 1 day a week, what can they do?
I agree with you. It's a good thing. I enjoy weekly warfare. We've been on there as a team. I've watched it. I've seen them. They've topped over like 2,500 viewers at one point. But I have nothing against what MLG is doing for us. But I really think it would be a step in the wrong direction to have online PCLs. There's going to be so many problems. There's going to be so many different variables going into it. Like I said, I'll be happy with whatever we get, but it's not the direction we want to be going.
All right, let's just go back to developer support with Infinity Ward, with all the LAN and their future updates. Infinity Ward, compared to all the other developers for major esports titles, they have given us literally nothing. if you look at the kind of support other esports games get, kind of like, it's a horrible comparison, but StarCraft, League of Legends. I mean, if you look at what Riot has done for League of Legends, they implement like competitive tournament streams into their in-game client. If even Infinity Ward, you know, that little bottom where they show all these random stats, if they put, hey, you know, there's an MLG tournament going on, how many more viewers would we get? It's just like a simple little thing. If they showed us just a little support, you know, our viewers would skyrocket. And, you know, what is there, like 1 billion copies or something sold for Call of Duty? Just a lot of... But yeah, if we got like 1% of those viewers, it would skyrocket.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think that's why MLG is really trying to take Weekly Warfare and make something out of it. I think they see the potential in Call of Duty and how many copies we physically sold. But you have to understand, from COD 4, what direction has the game taken? It's gone from COD 4, which was just a basic, fun game. Everybody loved COD 4. It was competitive. Pubs were competitive. There wasn't, you know, people were running around with portable fucking radars, throwing a tactical insertion down, throwing a fake care package here and there. They have levied this game towards a public version. They don't care so much about the competitive community. They haven't said much about the competitive community, so you know that's how they really could give two shits about us. And to be honest, if I was in their situation and I was 402 and I was the head of Activision and I was the head of Infinity Ward, I wouldn't care either. I mean, look how many copies I just sold of this game. I'm going to, you know, it's the recipe for success. Let's keep making the game the same exact way. They didn't make any changes to Modern Warfare 3. They stayed on the same game engine from Modern Warfare 2. It's like feeding food to a fucking farm animals. People are going to, you know, buy it. People are going to want it, and they're not going to do extra work for something that they don't have to do. Like, they really, it sucks to say, but they really don't care about what we're trying to accomplish as a community, and I really don't think they know how many people this involves. I mean, I'm not really explaining myself well, but, you know, why would Infinity Ward need to do something like that for us?
Well, then you got to look at it like Treyarch, man. They came in, they helped us out in Black Ops, but what good did that do? Like, yeah, our game was on the circuit, but we got the like one of the worst ratings on the circuit. Like, we had one of the less views right below Halo, or actually we were above Halo by not so much.
Wait, and how could you say that was bad for us?
I'm not saying it was bad for us. I'm saying, what does it do? Like, what is it? Well, you got to look at it. Infinity Ward's
for us. That helped progress Call of Duty. That helped us get on the circuit.
By getting one of the lowest views on the circuit.
It was our first.
Man,
it was our first year at live events.
Okay, but it's been backed up from 2007, 2008, 2009. It's been backed up for 4 years. And when it goes on the circuit, it gets the lowest amount of views. It was like
in Call of Duty 4, you went to nationals and you won that, but there was basically literally no coverage about it. There was no coverage from Modern Warfare 2 live events.
But that's MLG's fault, though.
We showed up at events and we didn't even have our own pro player lounge to practice that, and they didn't care. I'm saying, how could you say that being Black Ops being on the circuit, how can you say that didn't do anything for us as a community?
Well, change my mind. What did it do for us as a community, besides give us low numbers and make us look like a joke? What did it do for us? That's all I'm asking. I don't get me wrong. I love LAN. I would love it to be on LAN. I want it to be LAN. That's what I'm pushing for. But I don't think sitting here demoralizing online events when that's the last hope we have for it to even be MLG is the right thing to do.
How can you say that's the last hope? We don't even know what MLG has planned. You could see online.
It's not MLG. It's not up to MLG. It's up to Infinity Ward.
It has nothing to do with Infinity Ward unless they implement LAN. What I'm saying is, have you looked at StarCraft and their setup for MLG in 2012? They're going to have arena ladders where you qualify and you're invited to New York and you play in an arena, and then they have the live events, like Columbus will be the first event, where it's open to everyone. Worst case scenario, if it's online, they will take, like 16 teams that qualify. Say they have the arena qualifiers like they do for StarCraft. They take 16 teams. They take 8 of those teams, they pay for their flight, and they pay for their hotel, or they give stipends like they did for Modern Warfare 2 and Call of Duty 4. And they take these 16 teams. They have, 4 stations set up for us, and they have it at a live event. I really don't think Call of Duty is going to revert back to all online events and then one blowout event at Nationals. I think MLG is going to really try hard for us and have live events, no matter how small. I think that's what they're going to try and do and try and accomplish for us. I really just don't think you see the big picture and what kind of impact it would have to go back to online events exclusively.
Okay, I'm just going to step right in here for a minute and ask this question. I'll start off with you, Moho. How do you think sponsors play into this? If you have it online, wouldn't that completely, I guess, ruin the idea of that?
You play online, you get the same amount of prize money. Sponsors want advertisement, and
right,
they're going to get advertisement.
Prize money. I mean, now you're talking about. You have sponsors saying, all right, we're going to pay for your travel, we're going to pay for your hotel and your jersey. How do you feel that equals up to them playing at home?
Well, it depends, because I've actually seen like MLG's plans and what they plan on doing. Like they plan on making it look like a main stage. That's
right.
that's what I'm going off of. I'm not sitting here arguing that LAN is not as good as online. I'm just trying to say, like, we definitely got to have some type of hope somewhere. We can't just put it down, It's not up to MLG. A lot of you guys say, "Oh, Sundance, please, come on, announce something." It's not up to him. It's up to Infinity Ward, and we're blaming MLG and we're blaming Sundance for this, and that's the stupid thing to do. You don't do that. Go attack Robert Bowling on Twitter.
Yes, let's go attack the person who is going to try and give us hope. I hate to cut you off, but just some of the things you're saying. Sundance has the power, no matter what the outcome is from Infinity Ward, to have live events for Call of Duty. No matter what Robert Bowling does, and he's the face and he's the community manager, he doesn't have it say what his company does for competitive Call of Duty. But I'm actually glad Emily brought up the sponsor situation, because that actually reminded me of some things that I wanted to say. You have people like Quantic that came over in Black Ops. You have Eon that just started up, Hastro, and Hex. And these sponsors are giving gamers an opportunity to make this their job. You might see sponsors come out with salary, but they're not going to have salary and all of these promotions for players that are sitting at home just doing their own thing. They're not going to have that. There's not going to be any marketability for online events for players. There's not going to be opportunities that you would have at live events. It's just not there. They don't want to be sitting here paying some player $2,000 a month to only see him one time in a year, to make an appearance at events, to make an appearance on like a main stage, with so many people watching him. I just don't think you're looking at the big picture for players, spectators, and everyone in this community as a whole.
If I could just butt in, I don't think we'll see a decrease in sponsors for online play. I think we'll see a major decrease in organizations interested in Call of Duty. As Nadeshot said, with these new organizations coming in, Eon, Quantic, maybe Evil Geniuses, Complexity, Millennium, some of the big PC organizations, I think that's a major turnoff for them if we're online, because, like Nadeshot said, less marketability, less fan interaction. If it's online, definitely less organizations, but I don't think the sponsor count will go down. I think we'll still be saying the same sponsors that we have been for the past few years.
No, I agree with you. I just really don't think they're going to come in here and shell out money to something that, we want to see growth in what we're doing. We want to see progression. We want to see people at live events. And if you're reverting back to what we were doing in Call of Duty 4 and what we were doing in Modern Warfare 2 2 or 3 years ago, I don't think you're going to see teams like Team Liquid, Complexity, Evil Geniuses. They're not going to want to come into this market, because they're going to think, hey, weren't they doing this 3 years ago? They haven't progressed as a community. They haven't progressed as a competitive game. I mean, they're just going to stay on the PC side of things. That's not helping anything. I really think online events should be a no-go in every situation. Besides, worst case scenario, we get no support from Infinity Ward, and Sundance decides he doesn't even want to have maybe 16 teams showing up to one event every event throughout the season.
Moho, your thoughts?
You said Sundance is like in charge of whatever. Like, if that's the case, why is Sundance tweeting, man, I really wish we could work with Treyarch. I really wish we could do this. Like, why is he tweeting stuff like that?
Because David Vonderhaar was so compliant with everything that he asked. They got the LAN fixes in 2 days. You know, if you're dealing with this multi-million-dollar company and Vaughn is personally coming to events and talking to players, you know, I'm very good friends with Vaughn. He's very good friends with the Optic organization. He helped MLG with everything we asked for. We asked for a pregame lobby. He gave it to us. We asked, or I'm sorry, the pregame timer. It goes 60 seconds when you start the game. We asked for a 1.5 S&D round limit. He gave it to us. If I was the CEO of a corporation like MLG and I was trying to get Modern Warfare 3 in the circuit, and this was one of my goals, and as I was having a hard time dealing with this other company, dealing with Infinity Ward, why wouldn't he miss David Vonderhaar and the things that he's done for Call of Duty? You know, it's probably very difficult for MLG and what they're doing. And Infinity Ward is probably, you know, running in circles around them, just dodging the questions, dodging what they're asking for. Maybe they did make some fixes and they weren't correct. They didn't do it correctly. There's so many different things. I really think what Sundance has done with his tweets and his lack of information, I really wasn't a big fan of how there was just so much carelessness with making players on edge. You know, we're trying to plan for a year of events, and we need information. I mean, it's his call either way. I'm not taking anything away from Sundance, but those tweets, like you said, were very misleading, and I think it started a lot of drama in the community and speculation that wasn't needed.
All right, I just wanted to bring in a tweet for 1 second. Recently, 402 actually went down to the Machinima offices where our good friend Fwiz works, and Fwiz tweeted back at Rambo in response to a question about LAN, and Fwiz said that they asked 402 a million times about LAN, but he never gave a definite answer, and that they know what they need to do, but he's not sure if they'll do it or not, which I think that's just a disappointment because I believe, Moho, you met 402 at a Call of Duty 4 event, right?
Yeah.
So, like, he definitely knows 100% that we exist and what we need in order for us to keep on doing what we're doing. And I believe it's like LAN is such a simple fix. Didn't the Treyarch guys say they did it in what, like 2 days?
Yeah, this said they did it in 2 days.
So why can't Infinity Ward take 48 hours of their time? I mean, they already made so much money. What's 48 hours to them? Make it please us, please their viewers, and everyone will be fine. We'll just go on with our day once we have LAN.
No, I agree with you. And what you said about Moho meeting 402 back Call of Duty XP, when we finally advanced to the finals, we were brought into the back where they were doing all their production, and there was actually 4 developers from Infinity Ward, and they were asking us about the game and what we thought about it and anything that we should fix with it. And myself, Merc, Big Timer, Vengeance all mentioned the LAN system. We actually wrote down a list of things that they needed to change and things that we needed, and we gave it to them. And they shook our hands and smiled and said, "Oh yeah, we could definitely do these things." And you know, it's just empty promises.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what when I met the guy in 08 Nationals, he took our information. We didn't ask him for anything. We were just happy to meet him, and he took our information, and he was like, "We're going to send you guys to our headquarters. You know, we give you guys help us get some insight on our game, Modern Warfare 2 when it comes out." Like, he promises all this stuff, and then like he emails us. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, if you need anything, let us know, like hats, shirts, whatever." And then next thing you know, he never got us out there. He sends map monkeys out. So I mean, the guy is full of broken promises, like Nate said. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, if he's full of broken promises, let's, you know, tweet him. Let's say, hey, you know, let's try to get this going, you know, because I mean, I see a lot of people doing it, and it's good. I mean, he sees it. He's not stupid. The guy sees it. It's just that he got his money already, so he doesn't really care. He really doesn't care about the competitive community. I mean, they outsold Black Ops by a lot. You know, why does he even care? That really is his goal.
I mean, it's kind of shitty to think that it all falls on 402, but obviously he's going to take a lot of the heat since he is the community manager for Infinity Ward. But you see him replying to tweets such as, you know, we don't plan to implement the YY feature back in the Call of Duty. The Akimbo's FMG9s were nerfed by 25%. And he's just replying and replying and replying every day to people's questions. And every chance that we've tried to ask him questions about Call of Duty and our future with MLG, and will they implement the things that we need? You know, we don't see him answering any of those questions. But then again, like I said, there's a lot of different variables that may go into that. There might be contracts, confidentiality, you know, things like that. And I'm really just hoping that he did reach out and help us finally this year.
I mean, it's really a shame that they just can't show us not even like the slightest bit of support. But if there's one thing that's good that's coming out of Modern Warfare 3 at least, I think it'd be Call of Duty Elite with their new tournament system, their stat tracking. I'm not sure if you guys have any experience with Call of Duty Elite, but go ahead and tell me what you think of it.
I think it's awesome what they're doing. I mean, on Sunday they had that tournament. It was like vengeful team deathmatch something. First place was a Jeep. I mean, come on. They're giving opportunities for average players to go out there and kind of compete for something. I know Holiday Doc won an iPad too. So it's crazy the opportunities that they're giving to the general population of Call of Duty. And I think we kind of have an advantage as pro players. We can go out there and maybe win some of these tournaments. And I haven't really fooled around with Elite that much because I received a code from like my hardened edition, and it didn't work for me. I'm not sure if it expired or something like that. But I haven't gotten to fool around with it much. But they have like the Elite TV. They have these tournaments every weekend. There's just small prizes, maybe some Microsoft points, or like I said, the Jeep. But what they're doing and how they've progressed as a company and what they're doing for us is pretty impressive.
That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Revan, because I wanted to bring that up as well. I wanted to say, because you know this would be going on our third year of an Infinity Ward game that they actually never have helped us out, and there's no way that like we have a huge community. We all know that, and we tweet both of them, Sundance and whatever, and Sundance actually is in talks with him. Do you think maybe this Elite stuff, this COD Elite, is their view on competitive gaming? Like, do you think that when we approach him and say you need to do this, you need to do that, do you think like he's just like rolling his eyes in the back of his head, like, all right, well, this is our game is fine. We sold this many copies. We're just going to do COD Elite, and if you're a competitive player, you'll compete in these tournaments. Like, do you think that's what he's doing? Maybe that's why he doesn't get back to us, because he's trying to promote his own brand and not MLG.
It could be, but then again, back with online play, if I'm playing in a if I'm just like some AM, I've never won anything in my life. I have this host booter, right? So we're back to online play where, whoever's ahead of me, I'm just going to boot them offline. So I have a better chance of winning the Jeep, better chance of winning the iPad or whatever. So I think maybe that's their response, but hopefully they actually make an effort to work with maybe pro players, maybe Sundance himself, just to try to make it more refined and just more helpful to us in general.
And now that I think back, it actually kind of boggles my mind that when we were at Call of Duty XP and we first sat down on those Xboxes, we were playing online. We were playing on Xbox Live servers. And to think that they had such a huge Call of Duty tournament that they wouldn't take the time just to implement those features. And I know it's kind of off topic, but I was just thinking back now. We were on Xbox Live servers, we were on Xbox Live accounts, and I really can't believe they didn't take the time just to implement those small little things on System Link and the LAN system, that they didn't do those things. So I just want to throw that out there. I just thought about that. Silence.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with Bondahar and all this support, you'd kind of figure, oh, wow, Treyarch made LAN. Maybe we should do that. I'm pretty sure it's already made. They know how to make it. It's just, whatever. But going back to Treyarch and all the support they've shown us, how would you guys feel about going back to Black Ops maybe for another season? I know we played Call of Duty 4 for 2 seasons, but then again, World of War really wasn't considered to be a competitive game. But how would you guys feel about going back to Black Ops?
It would be good because it's on a circuit and you're traveling and going to LAN, but it's only good for us. How many people would actually watch it, because just my opinion, and I know a lot of people have this as well, like they feel the same way, like Modern Warfare 3 plays better than Black Ops. That's what I feel that way. There's a lot more guns involved. The maps are a lot better. They're more, I don't know, it's just better. It feels better. I could be wrong. You guys have your opinions, that's fine. I just don't think it would be a good idea. I think, like what Nate was saying earlier, like taking a step backwards, I think we would actually be taking a step backwards going to Black Ops.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like,
I agree with you there because first off, I really don't think the community gives enough credit to Treyarch and what they've done for us and the time that they took to make the game viable for widespread tournaments and large tournaments. But like you're saying, I really don't think a lot of players on Twitter, you see pro players like Solo and Fizzerp and a lot of people pushing for Black Ops on the circuit. And obviously that would be good for just the players to have that on the circuit because we have an event, we have live events, we have a game to go play. But if you look at the big picture and what we're really doing here as a community, it would be the worst possible thing that we could ever imagine for Call of Duty. Like Moho was saying, our stream numbers were the lowest on the entire season. It's a stagnant game. Who the random spectator? Maybe he watches Xjaws' YouTube videos, or maybe he's just a YouTube fanatic, and somebody shows him MLG, and he starts to watch competitive. He's gonna click on that stream, and he's gonna wonder, why am I watching Black Ops? Why is Modern Warfare 3? That's the newest game. That's what I want to watch. I don't want to sit here and watch a game that I played for a year and now it's over with. We're not looking at the viewer experience. We're not looking at sponsors that want to come in and do things for us. We're not looking at the whole picture of why Black Ops would just be the worst possible thing for this community. It's not where we want to go. It's not where we want to be. The numbers are going to be horrible, and it's just going to show discouragement from MLG to Call of Duty and think, hey, I mean, if we couldn't pull these numbers for 2 years straight, why are we going to come back here with the next Black Ops or the next Call of Duty made by Treyarch when they have these features for us? Why would we even want this game on our circuit? We couldn't grow it. We tried. It's done with.
yeah, regressing is never the option, man. Even MLG knows that. Even when a time when Reach is reaching the worst numbers, they could have went back to Halo 3. It's not the good thing to do. Never want to go back. I don't know. That's why I don't want to. Like, I hope we get some type of land support, but I'm gonna bring it right back. Like, I honestly think Infinity Ward is kind of like, they got their ideas on competitive gaming. They think their game isn't broke. Obviously, they've sold the most amount of numbers since any game, even Black Ops. And what do they care about us? Why would they want to help us out when they can help themselves out by running their own competitive thing, which is COD Elite, and give out prizes and all that good stuff. So I really don't know. All I know is I'd love to play LAN. I think Nate, me and you got off the wrong foot in the beginning. I want LAN. That's what I want.
No, I don't think any pro player doesn't want to go to live events. And
I want to promote it though. I want to promote online regardless. I want to get rid of that negative stuff. Me of all people knows, the disconnection problems and all that stuff. But I don't know, man. It's better for us if we just promote it. If we don't have the option to go LAN, it's better to promote the good things and introduce people. Well, this is why you want to play online, because it's you pay, you play online, your own comfort. You don't got to pay to travel, which is a lot of the reasons why people didn't go to the event in the first place. Sponsors are only interested in the top teams, obviously. It's just that was my point.
But we have to wait until we get to that point. We haven't had an announcement yet. We haven't had enough information about what MLG is going to be doing for us right now. And I think at this point, since there is no information and there has been no announcement, that we need to hope for worst case scenario, like 8 teams at every event, like they would have, like at Columbus, then Raleigh and Anaheim, maybe fly out 8 teams, and then the 8 other teams have to pay their way to get there. But if we don't have support and MLG doesn't plan to have live events for us every single season, like the winter season, spring season, fall season, summer season, then I definitely will be promoting online qualifiers and online events, and it's definitely something I'm going to compete in no matter what. And so, I mean, either way, as long as Call of Duty has prize money, as long as Call of Duty has a place to go, I'll be happy.
And it will. MLG will definitely take care of the COD community when it comes to prizes. They always have. I mean, before StarCraft came along, we had like the biggest community. It outblew Halo. It was just, we always wondered why we didn't get the biggest prize, and that's because it's like you said earlier, it's kind of hard to advertise online, and sponsors don't really want to get involved with that. But I just think that if we run these online events, MLG they'll take care of us, man. They'll do what they got to do. I think the prizes will still there. I mean, I've talked to a lot of sponsors already, and they're interested. you know, like Still Series is partnered with MLG, and they're asking us, you know, what about the circuit? Because MLG doesn't give them any details, and they're just like, well, if it's online, you know, it's still advertising. We're happy, you know. So I think it's gonna go good regardless. Yeah, you know, you got the disconnection problems, like I said earlier, but I think it's gonna go good, man. MLG's got a plan for us, and regardless, even if it is online, we're still gonna have a LAN nationals. Like they will always do that, and nationals is what matters the most. So as long as they do that, I'll be happy.
The reason
if we
why,
could-
no, sorry, go ahead.
Finish your thought.
Well, no, I was just saying the reason why I'm pushing so hard for live events is just because you know I've heard Vanderhaar and I've heard the things that he's done, and I hear the things that he's planning. You know, you see Sundance and Vaughn tweeting at each other all the time. Just the other day, Vaughn tweeted at me and you world domination. So we definitely know Vaughn is going to give us LAN support. We definitely know he's going to be doing things for us for this game. So even if we don't have LAN support from Infinity Ward, let's try our best to grow this game and grow our market and grow ourselves as a community and give more appeal to corporate sponsors, to you know, team sponsors in general, so that when we do have full support and we do have full system requirements filled, we will be able to transition into the next Call of Duty game and go to a live events 100%. So I think either way, if we don't have events for 2012 live events, we need to do our best to, you know, just grow our brand basically.
Yeah, that was my point. You know, that whole time is just, you know, promote positivity, forget the negativity. If we have to take some hits offline this year to have a better season next year with Vandahar, then, you know, I'm willing to do that.
No, I completely agree with you there.
Yeah, definitely. Two more topics before we wrap everything up. Back to what Moho said before about Modern Warfare 3 playing better than Black Ops. I think it's kind of frustrating because, you know, both developers do some things right, and then both developers do some things wrong. And it seems like the things that they do wrong are the things that the other developer does right. So, like, for example, LAN, it's just one example. Also, I think the spawn system in Black Ops was a bit more consistent than Modern Warfare 3. Definitely the guns shoot better on Modern Warfare 3 than Black Ops. I think frame rate's better on Modern Warfare 3 than Black Ops. Do you guys feel the same way, or what?
Well, if you look at Black Ops as a game and the mechanics of the game, it seemed like a stripped down version of not stripped down, but it was like the competitive how it played competitively. It felt like stripped down. It had a Call of Duty 4 sense to it and feel to it. Not everything was there. Not everything was made perfectly for us, but I really think the FAMAS ruined it for Call of Duty Black Ops. I think if it would have been like SMG only, I think we would have had a great season. I think people would have enjoyed it more, players and spectators. But I kind of disagree with you on the fact that you say Black Ops had better spawns. Modern Warfare 3 is a great game competitively. I actually love the way that Infinity Ward balanced their guns. We have 3 different SMGs that can be used. You have 2 assault rifles that can be used. You have so many variations in the game to make it more competitive. You could be running in this map and you have an MP7 red dot with focus on, and then you see somebody tear your ass up with a PP90, you're going to switch that gun. And like you were saying about the spawns, every map really has like 3 set spawns, and I think it takes more skill and more awareness to predict the Modern Warfare 3 spawns, because you really have to be aware of players on your team, where they are on your minimap, where they're positioned, and you can control the spawns really well in Modern Warfare 3. You can literally make a player spawn in front of you, and I really don't think you had that in Black Ops. I think it just takes more teamwork and awareness of the players to really overpower the spawn system and the way players play the game.
The thing about Modern Warfare 3 is the spawn system. A lot of people don't like it because, like, I know I'm going to go out on a limb here. People are going to get mad at me, but I think Modern Warfare 3 takes a lot more skill to spawn kill. It brings back to the COD 4 days. If you played Strike, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you could have somebody in a spawn trap for days. Lockdown, for example. People are like, oh my God, I hate this freaking map. I get spawned back here. But you don't understand is that we are pushing you back there. And that's why I like Modern Warfare 3. It's a lot more organized. You can actually push someone to the back of their spawn, and they'll spawn there no matter what, and it's up to you to get out of that spawn trap. A perfect example is something like firing range. I know you guys have played firing range, and you're like, all right, I'm sitting in trailer, and then, you know, the guy spawns behind you. He's not even supposed to spawn there. That's a random spawn. I think Black Ops messed up with those spawns. But I think if you took Modern Warfare 3's gameplay and you gave it to Treyarch, and Treyarch worked with the competitive community, I think COD would just blow it away. That's my opinion.
No, I agree with you. And I really think that Modern Warfare 3, I think if people were to analyze the game and really see how you can control the spawns, I think they would agree with us even more. But there's kind of one thing that I wanted to discuss, and it was the fact that I really kind of feel like on a competitive platform, there's only so far that Call of Duty can go compared to other games. Because you see StarCraft, that takes real strategy, that takes time and effort. And Call of Duty is kind of just like stripped down, and it's a lower tier competitive. But I think if a lot of players from a lot different platforms, a lot of different games came over and see what we were about, we're just really going for the growth of esports here. And I think that's why Call of Duty doesn't get as much love as we do right now. And I know that was completely off base and off topic of what you were saying, but it was kind of just a thought that I wanted to lay down on a stream so that people understand where I'm coming from with esports and Call of Duty in general.
It's a good point, because you look at the competitive players, we've been struggling for like 3.5 years so far. We got to go from one game that has online, and then one game that has LAN, then one game that has online, and it's just different for us. We got to bear with that. But then you look at the pub players; they don't care. They're happy because they're playing pub regardless. It's like everything's going their way, So it is hard for the competitive scene to like grow, like unlike the StarCraft scene where you get on StarCraft and it's a competitive match. You're playing exactly what you need to play. You don't have to change anything up, and I think that's why it's hard. It's harder for the Call of Duty community to grow.
If we could just touch on one last topic, then we'll wrap everything up. Unfortunately, these things happen, but let's go into roster changes. I know that, Moho, you guys recently had a roster change. Like I said, unfortunately, they happen. What can you tell me about that?
None of the roster changes we want. I love Moon. I love Sharp. None of them we want. It's just if your team isn't happy, it's not going to work. You're going to have to let him go. Moon, we had to let go of Moon because of his schedule conflicts with Saints' schedule, but Saints is on more to play. So you just got to make like the right move. Roster changes happen. You're not going to stop them no matter what. We always thought Proofy was happier than ever on Optic. Same thing with JCap. And after their success in the Black Ops season, you'd think that team would last. But, unfortunately, things changed up, and it does happen. I think you just got to make the best of what you have at that point on that current roster.
I think you're going to see a lot of different variables that go into roster changes this season. Like we discussed earlier, there's sponsors coming into Call of Duty scene. There's contracts that are going to be involved. And you saw it just last night. Too Quick was thinking about leaving Collapse just for the fact that he didn't want to sign a contract. And he's teaming with Parasite, a person that he has publicly made and tweets about all the time that he dislikes. But they all agree on one thing: they enjoy winning. So that's why Too Quick is staying around. And I just think a lot of the thought process that go into players' minds when they make roster changes and they make these decisions, they don't really think long term. I mean, you might see teams this season that might not even be the best roster that they can put together, but they have marketable players. They have players that sponsors want to have on their brand and they want to have on their name. And I really think a lot of these players that are making these teams really need to think about who they're teaming with, what kind of marketability they have as a player, and how they will benefit a sponsor if that's what they're going for. I mean, I know a lot of players are here just to win, but a lot of players are here as well to grow their brand as a player and to grow in the community and grow in gaming in general. But that's the player's decision. That's roster changes happen, and I really think that players need to sit down, think about their choices, and go from there.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're a player no matter what. If you get traded to a different team or you get dropped, it doesn't matter. You're a player. If any of that stuff happens, just continue to do what you're doing. Just play. Don't worry about the bull crap that's on Twitter. Don't worry about the drama. I think that's a lot of people. A lot of people are so easy to leave a team if they lose a scrim. And that's one thing I wish I could change about the competitive community, because we're a big community, but it's like, a lot of people hate each other. A lot of people are fighting with each other. They're jealous of each other. And I think if we could change that and people can stay on their teams and just realize, like, think about it. If you leave your team because you lost a scrim, like, you're going to lose. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, if you're going to leave a team because you lost a scrim and you join a different team, like, you're going to leave again and again and again. I think and then they want to know, like, why they can't build their brand. And it's because that's why. you're starting fresh every time you join a different team, and not only that, but you're ruining your reputation. You know, like it feels good at the end of the day to say that I'm still on Fear. You know, Nate can say the same thing. He's been on Optic for so long, it feels good. Am I wrong?
No, I agree with you.
So just work on loyalty.
Nice. So I guess that's it for the show. It was a really good discussion. Hopefully those who are still viewed the whole time. Any last words from you guys?
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed the discussion. I know sometimes our opinions clash with myself and Moho, but either way, it's always an enjoyment to have a debate and to see how other players view the community and what we're doing with it. So sometimes it might come off that we're heated as we progress in our argument and our opinions, but at the end of the day, you know, it's just we're all here for the same reason. We're all here to grow our brand, to grow esports in general, and to make Call of Duty a lasting impression on the pro circuit.
I agree. Emily, Revan, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
I appreciate it, guys.
And thanks to all of you guys watching the show tonight. If you did enjoy what you saw, go ahead and press the follow button on the stream. It was definitely a pleasure to have such great guests tonight. Thank you, John Clark, again from CSN, as well as Ego from Icons. And we hope that we'll be able to see them again at some point. Thank you, Revan. Thank you, Moho. Thank you, Nate. This was a great discussion. Hopefully it kind of opened up some eyes on this topic. Once again, thank you guys all for coming out and watching the stream. Hope you enjoyed everything you heard. Our show is weekly, every night, Mondays at 8:30 Eastern. And stay tuned for the things that we have coming for you. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks.